Hex. My thermosensitive Barjo module readings indicate a sudden rise in Barjo's blood pressure.
Yeah, Barjo, you seem to be a lot more jumpy than usual. What gives?
Batman, Hex. The Batman.
Check out the blue!
The Caped Crusader is back, and this time he's brought some friends. Batman the Brave and the Bold is based on the cartoony and rather good TV series, where Batman teams up with another superhero to fight crime. It has the TV show's voice actors, and it's also kind of structured the same way as the episode.
What's this one's name again? Clock King. Does he always make puns about time? Like clockwork.
It's a side-scrolling 2D beat-em-up for the Wii that's also playable in co-op. There's lots of cameos and little fights with famous villains, and the game's 4 campaigns will take you about 7 to 8 hours to complete.
Yeah, unless you're playing with a massive noob, then it might take a little bit longer.
Barjo, are you implying that I am charging my laser just in case?
Darren, the footage speaks for itself.
My battery was low, and besides, I was busy computing the final decimal of pi.
Sure you were, Darren. Sure you were. What is it, by the way?
5.
Each mission allows you to pick who you want to play as.
Yeah, unless you're playing with Barjo, who always picks Batman before you can even get a chance to pick up the Wiimote.
You gotta work on that quick draw, Hex. Batman!
Keep your eyes peeled and your fists ready.
The other heroes are fun, though. There's Jaime, the Blue Beetle, Hawkman, Robin, and the most annoying of the Green Lanterns, Guy Gardner.
Guy Gardner, the greatest Green Lantern who ever lived, is here to save you.
Guy, please.
Come on, Bats, don't be jealous now.
You can also pick a jump-in character who can help you out in battle once they've charged up enough, and they can unleash a devastating attack and an awesome cutscene, and they're all pretty cool, except Hex, I just can't take Aquaman seriously.
Yeah, who throws whales at people?
Outrageous!
Controlling Batman and his sidekick is done with the Wiimote and Nunchuck, with a focus on getting your enemy airborne with an uppercut so you can attack them more while they're in midair, and finish them off with a devastating ground attack by shaking the Wiimote quickly.
There's no combos to learn. All the combat is basically done by angling your thumbstick on the nunchuck and then mashing A. You can also perform a super move for each of the playable characters. I think these are very much similar to the jump-ins, and they're very exciting to watch. It's close to being button mashy, but there's enough to do here to avoid it. Just.
Yeah, although by about halfway through the game, you've pretty much tried everything fighting-wise, so smashing goons does get a little bit repetitive. You end up just trying to skip the ones you can just to get through to the boss fights.
Yeah.
They're mostly fun and all have their own strategy for success, ranging from throwing zombies to cat scratching to splitting up tactics by keeping one boss busy while you try and take down another.
You can play solo, of course, but you really do feel like you're playing on your own. The artificial intelligence of your teammate isn't that good. Sometimes they're alright and they'll predict where you're going to go, but most of the time they're really bad at fighting and they get themselves trapped, and I ended up feeling really sad for them every time they failed to keep up with me.
Say what you will about fancy gadgets and computerized doohickeys. When I'm staring down...
Yeah, but they can't die, and neither can you. You'll just lose coins, which are vital for upgrading your gear. By the way, if you mix up your moves during combat, more coins will come out of enemies. I didn't really like any of the sidekick's gadgets, though, except for Blue Beetle. The standard projectile weapon is all you need, but even that would have been much better if you could throw them in midair. The game does reward you for exploring, but I think I would have preferred some character upgrades like more health or more power rather than just more gadgets that I won't use.
Yeah, the lock-on with the Wiimote was quite good though. You can use it to manually select a bunch of targets and then just let the batarangs rip, which comes very handy when you start going up against those exploding enemies, which are just everywhere throughout the game. In fact, you kind of start hating them towards the end. Niggles aside, there are 2 things that I really love in this game, Hex. One is the look of it. The animations and the scenery are all just so beautiful. And the second thing is the dialogue. It's funny, it's witty, it just pulls you through the whole game, especially the banter between Batman and Robin and Blue Beetle. Batman is always grumpy.
It must be annoying hopping between those rocks, Batman. You sure you don't want me to fly us the rest of the way there? I bet I could get us there in 5 minutes flat. Well, maybe 10. Actually, which way are we headed again?
I'll stick with the rocks, thanks.
Yeah, I laughed out loud a few times. But all in all, I thought it was a fun but not particularly challenging beat 'em up, so I'm gonna give it 7 out of 10 rubber chickens.
I loved all the little references to past episodes, Hex, so I think I got slightly more out of it than you, but not by much. I'm giving it 7.5 out of 10 rubber chickens.
We also had a bit of a go of the DS version of the game. It's a simple platformer where you switch between characters, but all the other characters are more fun to play as than Batman, which is stupid.
It's a travesty, Hex. You can link up the DS and the Wii if you've got a copy of the game on both platforms, and then you can use Batmite, who can drop ammo to help you out, and also anvils on your enemies, but it's not really worth owning a copy of both games just for that.
Oh my gosh! Nintendo DS to Wii connectivity? You've gotta be kidding me! This is the coolest thing ever!
I did like how you can play as Red Tornado on DS, though. He's my favorite character. But the fact that you can't play as Aquaman is outrageous!
Outrageous!
Got an Aquaman fan here.
Little bit.
Watch out.
You're outrageous.
Affirmative.
He's fabulous.
You know what, guys? I'm starting to wonder if we should even bother with movie tie-in games.
We know they're always rushed and terrible, and we're so rarely wrong about them.
Oh, you know, every now and then we get one that truly surprises us, though.
Yes, unfortunately that was not the case with Green Lantern Rise of the Manhunters, however.
Ryan Reynolds, who plays Hal Jordan, the Green Lantern in the film, also lends his face and voice to the game,
It's bright as day, black as night.
which sees our Lantern fighting against the Manhunters, who are the original protectors of the galaxy, using a series of green hard light constructs as weapons.
The story is pretty lame. Manhunters are led by Abin Sur, who is described by Hal Jordan as the son of the greatest Green Lantern ever, who has managed to harness yellow fear energy to use against the Green Lanterns and their allies. So you're unceremoniously plonked into the middle of a battle where you begin to smash your way through enemies in a war of fancy light, green against yellow.
One thing I will say for it, though, is that the use of the various hard light constructs that the game provides you with is actually really cool. As you gain XP and level, you'll be able to take on new constructs, some of which are really fun to use. Missiles, a giant mech suit, one that lets you throw a plane. You assign these attacks to face buttons in conjunction with a left and right trigger. And I love a game that makes full use of controller buttons.
Yeah, in fact, you're spoiled for choice with abilities. You have so many that you just run out of buttons to use, so you end up just mapping the ones that you use the most.
Some specific constructs are required to complete puzzles, however, so you need to have them handy, like exploding mines or this baseball bat, which you use to deflect enemy fire right back at them.
I think one of my favorites was that grapple. You can pick up enemies and just run around like you're at a carnival with a balloon on the end of a string. Whee! The co-op in this game is another feature that works quite well. You can drop in and drop out whenever you like, which is the only way co-op should be done in my opinion.
And some of the puzzles actually felt like they were really designed to be tackled in co-op, with really specific timing elements that left me thinking that they'd be quite annoying to do solo.
And there's some shameful repetition in the levels here, isn't there? It's really unimaginative. You'll go through a whole area shutting down some major power core, only to find you have to do the exact same thing again on another level. Early on in the game, I had to disable a bunch of these towers, and I just kept thinking, how many of these towers are there? And then Hal said this.
Oh, great. More towers. How many more do these guys have?
Even the game knows it's being boring.
Yeah, and that slow walk to cover loading is just a really lazy mechanic. I mean, I'd rather just have a loading screen than be forced to walk slowly between every area. And also the predictable formula of flying, shooting missions.
Yeah, they always felt like filler to me, and I could always sense them coming.
You know, after a while, I did feel like I was getting into the swing of things, though, after I'd beefed up my dude a bit. I just love the way the game would enter slow-mo on the last hit of a group of enemies you'd cleared, especially if I was going all out with that Gatling gun. You just feel awesome, and you know, constantly getting new constructs like that mech suit would really change the combat. It was like having a shiny new toy to play with every few levels. I was actually starting to enjoy myself a little bit, when all of a sudden...
Yeah, it's way too short, and that's just unforgivable.
Yeah, it's just not on. I mean, this game has some cool qualities. There were elements about the combat that I enjoyed, but the script is dodgy, the levels are repetitive, and even though this isn't as expensive as, say, a top AAA title, it's still way too much to pay for this length and quality, in my opinion. I'm giving it 4.5 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Yes, alas, the curse of the movie tie-in game continues. It's such a shame because there's so much about Green Lantern that works for games, just in the mechanics and how he works as a character, but he hasn't had his good game yet. This is too short, it's too repetitive, and there's not enough game here, so I'm giving it 3.5 out of 10 rubber chickens. We did play the PlayStation 3 version, so it's possible the Wii version might be better, but that's not usually the case, is it? No. It's not usually.
Negative.